We're going to compose a scene where the foreground image is going to be made into a 3D look using displacement maps. This was the original photo, which we won't be using for this project, but it's there for reference. I'm going to drag the person to this new composition layer to create a composition exactly this size. So dragging it to this little new composition icon creates this composition that size. I'm going to drag also the displacement map, which should have a better name than Portrait 2. And I'll drag that out to the timeline. You can see how they fit together. I'm going to turn off the opacity of the background so we could just see it like this. Selecting the person, going under Effects and Presets, looking for Displacement and Displacement Map. Going to put the displacement map on the person 2 PNG layer, which is the person's that was silhouetted out. I'm going to turn off the portrait layer because the portrait is really just a mask, so I could rename it out here. Luma Mask. Turning off the Luma Mask layer. Selecting the person layer that has a displacement map applied to it. Under the displacement map, I'm going to select the Luma Mask. You can see the image changes a little bit by doing that, turning on and off the effect. So we know that the Luma Mask does have an effect on our character. For use for horizontal displacement, select luminosity. And luminosity just means this grayscale image. And use for vertical displacement, luminosity as well. And now, when you change the values for max horizontal displacement, you can see the character shifts into 3D. Now, if you see too much distortion here, that goes to the values. And I could go back into Photoshop or Photopea and change this so it's a less drastic gradation going from this to here. And I think I'm going to do that now. So go back and forth with Photoshop and After Effects. This is the updated Luma Mask. And I just blended in the values by using opacity with the brush and then following the steps as before. And now, let me turn off this layer. It's less drastic. Any place where you think it needs touch-up, like here, you can go back to Photoshop and continue working back and forth until you get the look you need. And after you update your Luma Mask, check it out, and then you're ready to go. I'm going to animate this. It's okay if it gets cropped a little bit, because this isn't our final composition size. So you want to see the extremes of rotating. It looks like it could go from here to here easily, and also vertically easy as well. I'll set these numbers, let's say down here. And off to here. So I'll then key at frame 0 both the maximum horizontal displacement and the maximum vertical displacement, and they're both using luminosity, which is from this layer. I'll go 5 seconds later by just typing in the number 5 seconds to jump there. And then I'll key the new position. And you don't want to go too extreme with this effect because it could tear. So just at the limit where you think it's about to tear, but it still looks okay. I'll play back that animation. So we have a soft animation of this person moving. Next, I'm going to make a new composition, new composition. I'll call this my final scene. Making sure I choose HD TV 1920 by 1080. All this needs to be is, let's say it's 30-second long, composition at max. I'll put the background into this composition, And also I'll put in our composition of the person that was just animated using displacement map. And if I had gone beyond the limits of this art, I can now just push it back because the artwork is a little bigger than the composition size. So far our animation's like this. Next, I'll put in a 3D camera and animate the camera so the background also is in dimension. Under Layer, New, Camera, just create a camera. I'll turn on the background to be in 3D, and I'll leave the person not in 3D to start out with, and I'll experiment to see if they have to be in 3D. For the camera, I'm going to open up the transformation and key in at frame 0 the point of interest and position and orientation. I'll go 10 seconds out. I'll press the C key, which activates the camera tool, and this is rotating, moving left and right, and zooming in and zooming out. And this is just for positioning. So I'm going to orbit the camera. Just a little bit. Now, if you want, you can go back and also do the same displacement map for this background, which would be pretty easy. I'm going to scale up the background, selecting the street, pressing the S key, scale up a little more. Going back to the camera, going 10 seconds in. I'm just going to make that orbit a little more extreme. Maybe I'll pull it this way instead. So this is the end effect. I'm going to extend the animation where this stops at 5 seconds in. And to do this efficiently, I'm going to lock this composition, go under View, New Viewer, or Control-click in this empty space, New Viewer. I'm going to double-click on the Person 2 composition, and so this is our Person 2. I'm going to press the U key to expose where the keys are, and I'll drag these keys out to 10 seconds. If I press Control here over the numbers and click over the numbers, I can then get the frames, and so 10 seconds out is 300 frames out. And now I could click, now I could close this. And so I just want to see a side-by-side view. I can see the nose is peeking through, but this nose isn't on our person layer. It's a poor cloning job for this background. So let's correct the background and reload the image. And now the second nose has disappeared, cloned away. And this is our end result. Now that we have a camera in the scene, we could also push in the camera. So starting from here, pressing the C key, going to here, so I'm going to go to the next key grouping, and I'll dolly in. So now, since the background is on a 3D layer and this character isn't, the background pushes in while this stays put.